Is it possible for a single music group to make a country with the largest entertainment industry in the world appear overwhelmed? Does it make sense that the United States, home to massive stadiums, the most advanced ticketing systems, and the most mature concert market on the planet, would have to admit that its capacity is still not enough? The question sounds provocative, even exaggerated, until facts begin to speak in ways that cannot be denied. 2 additional concerts, 2 major cities, and one name that continues to echo behind the scenes, triggering virtual queues of hundreds of thousands of people. Jungkook. When BTS announced the Arirang World Tour, many assumed it was simply a natural continuation of their global dominance. A grand comeback after mandatory military service, a long-awaited new album, and an ambitious tour schedule spanning dozens of cities across multiple continents. Yet no one was truly prepared for what happened at the most critical phase. The US ticket pre-sale. That was where the narrative shifted, from merely a big tour into a social phenomenon that raised deeper questions about scale, appeal, and the limits of logic within the modern entertainment industry. Within minutes of the pre-sale opening, major ticketing sites began showing symptoms that now feel familiar yet remain shocking. Virtual queues swelled, not by tens of thousands but by hundreds of thousands. In several cities, queue numbers crossed thresholds usually seen only during championship sporting events or farewell concerts by Western music legends. Social media flooded with screenshots, complaints, shouts of joy and frustration, all blending into a single collective emotion known as ARMY. And amid that digital chaos, one conclusion began to form organically: the existing schedule would not be enough. The announcement of 2 additional US concerts did not arrive as a marketing strategy plan from the start, but as a direct response to unavoidable demand pressure. Based on information circulating from influential fan account at Chartsdalic on Platform X, BTS is now officially set to hold 24 stadium concerts in the United States alone, a figure that, even by top-tier Western artist standards, already sits in extreme territory. The additions include an extra date in Tampa, Florida on April 28, 2026 at Raymond James Stadium, and another in Stamford, California on May 19, 2026 at Stanford Stadium. These locations were not chosen at random. Both were hotspots with demand spikes that proved the hardest to contain. With this addition, Tampa becomes a city hosting 3 consecutive concert days on April 25, 26, and 28, while Stanford follows a similar pattern with shows on May 16, 17, and 19. This pattern itself suggests something bigger than mere extra dates. It signals that BTS, as a global entity, is now operating at a scale that challenges conventional touring structures. Behind it all, public attention increasingly turns to BTS's internal dynamics, particularly to Jungkook, whom many observers and fans describe as the emotional catalyst and primary magnet driving this massive wave of demand. The Arirang Tour is not just a series of concerts. It is a symbol of BTS's return as a complete group after the mandatory military service period that paused their collective activities. The Arirang album, released on March 20, 2026, serves as the emotional foundation of the tour, carrying narratives of identity, cultural roots, and a collective journey onto the world's largest stages. What is striking, however, is that the response to this tour is not driven by nostalgia alone. Instead, it feels like a new explosion, as if the global market, especially the United States, had been holding its breath for years, waiting for this moment to erupt. Overall, the Arirang Tour comprises 81 performances across 34 cities worldwide, spanning Asia, Europe, North America, Latin America, and Australia. Yet international public focus quickly narrowed to one striking fact: the United States became the epicenter. The list of North American dates shows a density that is almost hard to believe. From Tampa, El Paso, Mexico City, Stanford, Las Vegas, East Rutherford, Foxborough, Baltimore, Arlington, Toronto, Chicago to Los Angeles, each city is not given just one chance but 2, 3, or even 4 consecutive nights. Los Angeles, for instance, is scheduled to host 4 shows at SoFi Stadium, one of the most prestigious and expensive stadiums in the world. Records began to fall even before the first concert had started. According to reports from various media outlets including Biz Chosen, BTS has now solidified its position as the largest K-pop touring act of all time, surpassing historical achievements once thought untouchable. ARMY membership pre-sales became the clearest proof. Platforms like Ticketmaster experienced extreme traffic surges, with virtual queues reaching hundreds of thousands of users across multiple cities, creating an atmosphere many fans described as a digital war. This phenomenon not only reinforces the loyalty of BTS's fanbase, but also demonstrates how the name BTS, and Jungkook in particular, has become a force capable of mobilizing global masses simultaneously. Yet beneath the euphoria, another emotional tone emerged. Social media filled with comments from fans in Europe and Canada who felt sidelined. Phrases such as, "and nothing for Europe as usual," or, "and nothing for Canada," reflected genuine disappointment, signaling that global demand even exceeds what BTS has already planned. Ironically, these complaints only strengthen one overarching narrative. The world wants more BTS than a single tour can provide. To this point, the opening question echoes more sharply than ever. Is this still about concerts? Or are we witnessing a major shift in how pop culture operates, where one group with one name constantly repeated, Jungkook, can make the United States appear small? The answer is not yet fully revealed. But one thing is clear. The addition of these two concerts is not the end of the story. It is the first hint that what is being called the Jungkook effect, and BTS's post-military dominance has only just begun, and the world, including America, must prepare for a chapter far larger than anything seen before. The Arirang ticket pre-sale in the United States became a kind of large-scale social experiment, not only because of the number of people involved, but because of the intensity of the reactions it triggered. Across different time zones, ARMY stayed up late, adjusted work schedules, and even sacrificed important activities for a single chance to press the buy button. When the system displayed queue numbers that kept rising instead of falling, a sense of near-collective panic emerged. At that moment, social media transformed into a space of mass catharsis. Digital tears, shouts of joy, anger, and solidarity merged into one massive current that was difficult to contain. And in almost every viral personal narrative, one motif appeared again and again. "I have to see Jungkook and BTS live." This phenomenon is not new for BTS, but its scale now feels different. After the period of mandatory military service, there was an assumption that the long hiatus might slightly dampen the intensity of the fandom. What happened was the opposite. Longing accumulated, condensed, and then exploded in a single moment. The Arirang album functioned as an emotional spark, but the concert stage was the ultimate destination. In this context, Jungkook is often perceived as the face of a new generation of BTS, someone who bridges the group's past, present, and future. He does not stand apart from the other members, yet his presence often becomes the entry point for new fans, especially in Western markets and in the United States. This impact is felt most clearly. A country accustomed to being an exporter of pop culture now finds itself in the opposite position, becoming a market competing fiercely for Korean cultural products. Large stadiums that usually symbolize the strength of the American entertainment industry are now witnessing how waves of K-pop, led by BTS, fill every seat, even before the concerts begin. Tampa and Stanford are the clearest examples. Surging demand forced promoters and management to make rapid decisions, add dates, or face a wave of disappointment that could potentially damage the tour's momentum. The decision to add 2 concerts was not without risk. Each additional date means major logistical costs, rescheduled coordination, and increased physical and mental pressure on the members. Yet it is precisely here that the strength of confidence in BTS's current drawing power becomes evident. The risks were considered worth it for one reason: the belief that stadiums would once again be full, tickets would once again sell out, and ARMY's collective energy would once again flood the host cities. And so far, all indicators suggest that this confidence is not misplaced. International media have begun to highlight this phenomenon not merely as entertainment news, but as a cultural event. How can a single group trigger digital traffic spikes that disrupt national ticketing systems? How can a pre-sale for one tour create cross-border conversations involving language, emotion, and identity? Behind these questions, the name Jungkook often emerges as a symbol of personal appeal that strengthens BTS's collective brand. He becomes a representation of youthful energy, emotional vulnerability, and captivating stage performance. a combination that is difficult to imitate and nearly impossible to replicate. However, this euphoria has also generated global tension. When the United States received additional dates, fans in other regions felt left behind. Europe and Canada became the two regions most vocal in expressing disappointment. Short but sharp comments on social media reflected genuine frustration. Ironically, this tension only reinforces one fact. Demand for BTS has surpassed the capacity of any realistic world tour. There is no scenario in which everyone can be satisfied, and every scheduling decision will inevitably leave some feeling overlooked. Amid this dynamic, BTS occupies a unique position. They are not just artists but a cultural institution. Every decision they make, adding concerts, choosing cities, setting dates, is read as a symbolic statement. The addition of 2 concerts in the United States in this context is not merely a market response, but a signal that the center of gravity of the Arirang tour currently lies there. And that center of gravity is reinforced by the figure of Jungkook, who consistently becomes a focal point in public discussions, both among fans and industry observers. When virtual queues reach hundreds of thousands and massive stadiums continue to be added to the list, one realization becomes increasingly difficult to deny. This is not the peak, but the beginning of a new phase. A phase in which BTS, with Jungkook as one of its emotional axes, operates on a scale that can no longer be compared to old standards. The question now is no longer whether the United States is enough, but how far that boundary can be pushed before the entire world must acknowledge that this phenomenon has gone beyond the category of an ordinary music tour. The Arirang Tour is no longer merely an entertainment agenda, but a popular civilizational event that marks a shift in global cultural power. The question has therefore changed. It is no longer how many stadiums can BTS fill, but rather what does all of this mean for the future of the global music industry? And at the center of that larger question, the name Jungkook appears once again, not as a fleeting sensation, but as a symbol of an era in the making. 24 stadiums in the United States is a number that, when separated from the context of BTS, sounds almost absurd. Even top-tier Western artists rarely reach this level of scheduling density within a single country. Yet the fact that BTS is achieving this post-military service with a complete lineup adds an additional layer of meaning. This is not a cautious comeback. It is a declaration, a quiet statement that they are not returning to test the market, but to command it. And America, which for decades has been the center of gravity of the global music industry, now finds itself in the position of host to a phenomenon arriving from outside itself. The Arirang Tour introduces a 360-degree stage format, an artistic choice that not only maximizes the visual experience, but is also rich in symbolic meaning. There is no front or back. There is no single center. Every audience member stands within the same circle. In the context of BTS, this choice feels like a reflection of their own philosophy: inclusivity, connection, and togetherness. Jungkook, with a stage presence often described as almost magnetic, becomes the figure most frequently highlighted within this format. Every movement, every moment of eye contact, every improvisational beat feels as though it is directed straight at the audience, strengthening the personal bond that has long been the foundation of the ARMY fandom. Behind the glittering stadium lights lies another equally important dimension: economics and cultural diplomacy. Predictions of billions of dollars in revenue from this tour are not merely figures in financial reports. They reflect a massive flow of Korean cultural consumption on a global scale. Hotels are fully booked, flights are packed, local restaurants are flooded with visitors, and host cities transform into temporary centers of pop pilgrimage. Local governments, promoters, and small businesses feel the impact directly. In this context, BTS and symbolically Jungkook function as de facto cultural ambassadors, even without any formal designation. What is striking is that all of this unfolds without an explicit propaganda narrative. There is no state-driven campaign, no nationalistic slogans pushed to the forefront. There is only music, emotion, and experience. This is the most effective form of soft power in the 21st century, where perceptions are shaped not through instruction, but through repeated experiences that touch the most personal layers of human feeling. Jungkook sings, dances, smiles, and millions of people across the world feel connected to something larger than themselves. From that connection, the image of Korea grows, not as an abstract concept, but as an emotional experience. Yet beneath all these achievements, there is a tension that cannot be ignored. When one region receives a large share, other regions will inevitably feel marginalized. The disappointment voiced by fans in Europe and Canada is not merely about concert schedules, but about a sense of recognition. This phenomenon highlights BTS's greatest challenge going forward: how to manage global demand that is practically unlimited within constraints of time, physical endurance, and logistics. There is no perfect solution. Every decision will generate euphoria on one side and disappointment on the other. This is where the future of BTS begins to be tested, not in terms of declining popularity, but in their ability to navigate this immense scale without losing their essence. Jungkook, as one of the most closely watched figures, carries extraordinarily high expectations. He is not only a performer, but a projection of the hopes of millions. Every step, every expression, even every pause will be read and interpreted. This burden is not light, yet so far, he appears to grow within it, transforming pressure into creative fuel as the Arirang concerts begin and stadium after stadium fills with seas of army bomb lights. The narrative will continue to evolve. Viral videos, emotional moments, and personal testimonies will add new layers to the story. But one thing is already certain even before the first note is played: this tour has changed the standard. It has redefined what success means, what influence means, and what relevance means in global music. Thus, the opening question that once sounded provocative now finds its own answer. Is the United States enough? For BTS and Jungkook, the answer is clear. Not yet. And perhaps it never truly will be. Because what we are witnessing is not a journey toward a peak, but an expansion of horizons. An era in which a single K-pop group, with one name that continues to echo, proves that geographic, cultural, and industrial boundaries are merely illusions waiting to be surpassed.